Good evening, family. Ken Mills here with World Views. Tonight we have a special episode. So, as you all know, last week, Southeast Texas as well as Southwest Louisiana was battered by Hurricane Laura. Also, we're going through civil unrest, and as well, we're going through a national and international pandemic right now. So, right now, our faith is being tested. I brought an illustrious guest here today, all three of them. We're going to dive deep into faith, what that actually means, what that means for you. And also, as you lead your families on in these perilous times, what should we be looking forward to? What should we have our focus toward? So guys, once we come back from this small, quick commercial break, I'll have my first illustrious guest here. And I promise you, if you stay on with us, something may enrich your hearts and something may capture your spirit. Ken Mills here with World Views on Boss Up Houston Network.
Boss Up Houston, you know why? Right here.
With your host, Shamir Bacon. Tune in and stay live. Boss Up. Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with my first illustrious guest. I'll give a brief introduction. Now, this gentleman that sits next to me has been ministering most of his life. He's one of my great Christian brothers. Bring it to you now, pastor of Mount Pisgah Baptist Church, the Reverend Joseph L. Mays. How are you today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. So now, could you tell us where is Mount Pisgah located?
Mount Pisgah is located in Brazoria County, Angleton, Texas, Macbeth community.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you're a little bit on the outskirts of Houston.
It's on the outskirts of Houston. Yeah.
Okay. So how has it been with that community that's kind of rural a little bit? How has that been with this type of turbulent time that you've seen?
Well, the area that I'm in, it's almost like a retired area, but it's a rodeo area.
Okay.
People in the area are older people who are retired, and in our community, during this pandemic, they can't wait to get back to church. So in the area that I pastor, people love people, and they just can't wait to get back to the church house. But in these times, man, they are patiently waiting. They're doing what's necessary to keep from getting COVID, and just enjoying being at home. But they're just ready to get back to the church.
Okay. So, what would have been some of the obstacles that you've had in order to deliver your message?
Well, some of the obstacles that that I've been having as a pastor is, first of all, not seeing the people every week. When you're a pastor, you love the people. You want to be there for people. You want to visit the people who are, my grandma would say, low sick. People who are down, and you can't get to them too much. So you just want to embrace your people. You have fellowship period every Sunday, and you just want to love on your people. But some of the obstacles that we face, and honestly, we've been doing good as a church. I think like I stated, the only obstacle we're facing is not seeing each other every week. It's almost like a family church also, but it's a community of people that love God and love God's people.
Okay. So, if I understand correctly as well, you were installed there last year or so, correct?
Yes, sir. June 30th, 2019.
Okay, so you just had your anniversary.
Yeah, 1 year anniversary. Well, I didn't have an actual anniversary. I told the church what I wanted them to do is find out who was in need, because I didn't even want one. I'm not even worried about an anniversary. I wanted us to find out who was in need, and when we do that, that would be the best anniversary gift that we can have, to find out who was in need. I wasn't worried about no money, none of that. I just wanted to find out who needed help during this pandemic.
So, tell me this. When you first stepped into pastorship,
Yes, sir.
did you envision this ever happening?
I did, but I didn't. And the reason I can say that, I say it from the standpoint of the reason I did, because I knew God had the call of pastoral leadership on my life, but I didn't because I got told no so many times. So in the midst of, a couple of churches, few churches telling me no, you can honestly ask my friends and my wife, I literally gave up. When I told God, whatever you have for me, cool, fine, dandy. If I don't get no church, I just serve at the Canaan Baptist Church like I've been doing these last 10 years. But when I was about to throw in the towel, that's when God opened that door. And here I am a whole year later, pastor one of the greatest churches in the Missouri area.
Right. So, in order for you to stay in contact with your members, what are some of the methods that you're doing?
Okay, some of the methods we are using, email,
Okay.
Facebook, and Facebook Live. We also have an app at the church. It's a text mobile app. Whenever you get a chance, text 54244 to hashtag MPBC, all capital letters, and our mobile app will come up. And this is a way that I've been praying. I prayed and asked God for a way to keep connected to the people. Prayed and asked God, show me the way. You try to go through Apple and Google, you're looking at about $50,000 to get all this stuff started. So God gave me this. One of my good friends, Lucius Davis, who pastors the Christian home in Houston, he told me about this, and I prayed, and just in the drop of a hat, I called the people called me. They was receptive of what I was trying to do, and I was receptive of them. And now, man, I keep in contact with the people, because we was at the church. We at the church. Only way they can pay their tithes and offers if they drive it. So we have a few members who live in Sugar Land and Missouri City, who lives in Rocher and Pearland, and they wasn't willing to make that drive to pay their tithes on the day that we received tithes. So now we're able to give online. We're able to send out text blasts to people about Bible studies, Sunday services. If there's an event coming up in the community, we'll be able to do that. So that's the way I keep in contact with my people. It's kind of hard because when you're so used to seeing people every Sunday and now you don't see them but once every blue moon, you have to find a way to, make sense of what's going on and where you are. So thank God for the avenues of getting to the people that he have shown me. And when all this pandemic first started, what I did was I received some addresses from members, and I asked members, hey, can y'all send me your addresses? So I did a pastor drive-by. Went by the people's house, knocked on the door, showed my love, waved from a distance, and hey, I just wanted to put my eyes on y'all because I miss y'all. And that's one of the things, man. I really miss them. Yeah, and that was one. Those are the ways that I keep in constant communication with people.
Okay, great. So, another question that I have for you, what are some of the major obstacles that your parishioners are experiencing during this time?
One of them I can say is they feel like they're homeless. When you come to a place every Sunday for so long and you can't even get to that place anymore, it's almost like you're homeless. And our church is 137 years old, and we have members. We have one member. Her name is Sister Mamie Harris. She's our longest member. She's been there 85 years at this one church, and she's married to one of my deacons, and she's been there for 85 years. And every time she talked to her niece, who is my administrator, she asked her the question, when are we going back to church? When can I get back to that building that I've been praising God? When can I get back to that building to when I can fellowship with the people that I know I love, that I've been fellowshipping with for over 40, 50 years? You know, so that's one of the unrest. And then another unrest to me is, you know, I don't want the young people to get weary in times like these. Because young people really, their faith is a little shaky already. So one of the main things I do, I try to keep in contact with all of my youth and young adults. I have one of my youth and young adults. He's on his way. He's in Incarnate Word in San Antonio, full ride. And his sister, she's on her way to a full ride in San Jose State. She's trying to make it to the Olympics. She's in the master program. So man, one thing I want to do is make sure I keep the young people motivated. Let them know that in the midst of all of this, God is still good. Don't lose hope. Don't lose heart. Keep the faith and just keep on moving.
Okay. So, with all of that's going on, what is your support system? Because I know that's a heavy feat for one person.
My support system is, first of all, my wife. She's the biggest supporter that I have. Man, it's been times I didn't want to pick up a book or a Bible. Working, I'm tired. And then I look at the news and now I'm agitated about everything that's going on. And she'll grab my hand and she'll just pray for me. One of my administrator at the church, she's been one of my bedrocks. She's been the one to keep me informed of what's going on because I work so much. She keeps me abreast of everything, and my deacons and my financial team, my media team, my evangelistic team, my care team. Man, it's a collage of people that keeps me motivated. And matter of fact, when I see their faces, man, the only thing I can do is just say these words, like what Grandma used to say. I feel like going on.
All right.
Yeah, that's what makes me. That's what keeps me motivated to keep on going on.
Most definitely. And I'm glad that you brought up your wife, the First Lady, Jennifer Mays, and also your entire group at your church,
Yes,
because that's a heavy feat, especially right now. We're dealing with something we never dealt with before. Man. And you have a structure like the way that you do.
Yes, sir.
137 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very commendable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to another quick commercial break. But when we come back, we'll have one of our mentor pastors here. I'll do a brief introduction when we get back with him. You're tuning in with World Views with Ken Mills on Boss Up Houston Network.
Devin, did you know Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies?
Okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? DJ Khaled to be your motivational coach?
Yo, Devin, remember to brush in a circle motion. Thank you, DJ Khaled. Tiny circles, Devin. Do another one. Another one. Is this good? Put in that work, Devin. Don't give up.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
Don't play yourself. Hit subscribe to play more great Geico videos. And don't forget to share.
Devin, did you...
to give you the opportunity to tell your truth. So let's start with what happened. This is Red Table Talk. Red Table Talk. Red Table Talk. This table carries no judgment.
I suffered trauma at an early age.
This table brings out your truth.
I had to hit rock bottom. I had to lose everything.
This table encourages you to share your story.
I was just caught up in that pain.
This table has room for everyone. For everyone.
Red Table makes you emotional.
When there's a lot of love there, there's always a path towards healing. Intimate, provocative, unfiltered. Join us. Take a seat at the table. Only on Facebook Watch.
Welcome back. We're back here with one of our illustrious guests here. I'll give a brief introduction. Now, this gentleman here was my pastor through most of my life. Also, my pastor when I took up deaconship with him. He's mentored many, and he's very prominent here in the Houston area. Reverend George T. Curry Jr.
Yes, sir.
Of the Greater Union Missionary Baptist Church in the 5th Ward area. How are you today,
I'm
sir?
doing great, kid. Doing great. Glad to be here with you.
All right. I'm doubly happy that you're here with me as well. So we're going to dive a little bit into it.
Okay.
So I understand that during this time, you've taken up the technology route to keep in contact with your folks.
Yes.
All right.
We on Facebook Live, and we also on YouTube. You can catch us ad on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock on the average Sunday. And we'll start it on once a month on the first Sunday, if it's good weather, a parking lot service where everybody's able to come, and I'm able to serve communion on our back parking lot at our church. And the last month we had a great one. This Sunday coming up will be the next one, and we have kind of a service that lasts about an hour. We have our musician that be there, great musician. He sings and plays and everything. We got the equipment so we can be heard on the parking lot. Bought him a little keyboard to be out on the back, and got it amplified and everything. God blessed us. So we had a great service, about 1 hour out on the parking lot, and everybody was so happy to come together. We have been so apart since the end of March. Fourth Sunday in March was our last in-person service. We have learned a lot, and I thank God that I had built-in help to get me through. When I first started, we were on Facebook Live. We was doing Facebook Live, and then in the midst of my younger son, which is in the business, that's his call in life. He's a videographer, a cameraman. He works on different shows, done movies and commercials, and some with different things. And he's in the industry, so he was able to help me. That's Winston, my youngest son. He was able to help me and to guide me and promote me and to show me what I needed to do that I could become on the air. And I didn't think that I was able to do it because of finances, but God made a way that he has a lot of his own equipment that we have been buying while he was finishing school and all of this. So God has everything. And I tell him, God knew years ago that I was going to be in this position and I was going to need it. So he put it all in the house with me to help me through this. You know, I don't know everything, but God knows how to put together that what you don't know through somebody else. And I thank God for my son for helping me to climb that hurdle.
Okay. So you talk about family, you talk about everything being in one house. I will mention for the audience that you do come from great Baptist Christian stock.
Right.
So your father.
My father, Pastor G.T. Curry Sr. at Mount Pilgrim, is where I started over in the Independent Heights area, which is called Studewood. Right. My dad's been there for 44 years. And before that, we were in Midland, Texas for about 16 years. And that's why I was born into ministry. Not into ministry, but I was born. But I've been in the church all of my life. And at 18 is when I started preaching. And I'm 58, so I've spent most of all of my adulthood in the pulpit preaching.
So with all of that tenure and all of that experience, when this took place, when this time took its turn, what did you do to prepare for it, or did it catch you off guard?
Well, I've always known that there might come something that we have not ever gone through before as a people or as a community. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something was going to happen. Just like when Ike hit our church and destroyed it, and I was so geared up, I knew something was coming down the pipe. I made sure that we had great insurance that we could recover. It took us a while and went through the process fighting with the insurance, but it got us over that hurdle. We were out of that building for 2 years. And this one, it struck a nerve because I think God is trying to get a message over to the worshiper that it's not about the building, but it's about Him. And I think that we sometimes get caught up into the buildings and we forget the reason why we in the buildings is to worship Him. And I think this is a time where people have to really worship God firstly in their homes. And God, a lot of people want to look at when it get back to like it was. I don't think it'll ever go back like it was. I think it's going to go to another place that's going, not because it was not like we used to, but I think it's going to a greater place because Brother Kenny, I watch a whole lot of my fellow gospel preachers on the air that we had not been on the air. Some have teams working with them. I don't really have a team that's working with me, but I'm there ministering, and I see more audience, a greater audience that were in those four walls listening to me. I get calls from people out in California, people out in New York that say they have been watching me and even sending contributions throughout ways. I got somebody this Apple Pay, and I wasn't even looking for that, hadn't even said, but because I'm in that system, he was able to send that to me. And God is connecting us. This is not a time that we're in competition with each other. It is a time that we need to spread the word of God, because I don't know whatever else is going to happen to us, because we're in the midst of COVID. We're in the midst of social injustice. We're in the midst of a crazy election cycle, and a lot of times when I go to meetings and they talk to community leaders, talk about storm preparedness, don't look at the storm that you just came out of. We got to get prepared for the next storm, and the next storm is going to be greater than the one that you're in or one that you've just come out of. So we've got to be prepared in a way to meet the needs of the people. And I see a lot of churches, man, they are emptying their pantries. They are bringing in food, milk, and distribution, and all of this kind of stuff, where they are concerned with the needs of the people. And also the people see the needs of the church, because you got to have some finances to be able to do all of this. You got to be able to support your church and your pastor so he can send out stuff to help you that you need, because if you don't have no fuel for your automobile, it's going to sit idle and it won't be able to move. So, but I think that God is using this time to get us connected closer to Him. A lot of people say the world is coming to the end. I don't know, because the Bible says no man know the hour the Son of Man shall come, but I know He's coming. And so in my preaching and teaching that I do, I'm trying to always remind the hearer to focus on Jesus Christ, and that if we're going to get through this, it's going to be through Jesus Christ. So I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And it say that I can get through them on my own, but I can get through it through Jesus Christ.
So I thank you, because I heard throughout your diatribe now, it's one scripture that you use all the time, Malachi 3:6. Let there be meat in the storehouse.
Right.
Now, through this time, have we seen the variance of that type of donation?
Oh yeah, man. I've noticed that at Greater Union, that I can speak. People have given greater through this pandemic than was given at first. I got some members, they have purposely given more than they normally give to make sure that the church is operating. And you know, I'm doing things at the church, even trying to, I just signed with a company so we can have the chemicals to disinfect the church. I've had funerals but have not had an in-house service because I have senior members that have breathing problems, and I wouldn't want to bring them into a closed situation, but they were on the parking lot in their cars. But I'm getting the equipment together that we can spray the church on a regular basis, disinfect the church, so we don't know where that germ is, that nobody will be affected when they do come into the building. I'm looking for the opportunity for us to come back into the building, but it has broadened our reach to be not just only concerned with the message in the building, but we got to put the message outside the building, because a lot of times we get caught up on just doing church that we forget to do the work of the church.
Right.
And the work of the church is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's why we're here, to spread his name and not our name.
That's right. The Great Commission.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I did learn something.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right. Now, what we'll do right now, thank you, Pastor Curry. We'll move forward with the rest of the show here, but we're going to take a brief commercial break. But when we return, we're going to continue on with this great discussion here. Ken Mills, Worldviews on Boss Up Houston Network.
Breakfast at Auntie D's, take one. That's all it's gonna take.
Ricky Daddy's on the beat.
Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. The type of you that like to get dine anytime. Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. You the type of you that like to get dine anytime. Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of you that like to get dine anytime. Gun, please sipper, Moet, Patron sipper. Do you the type of girl that like to pull down the zipper?
I like that shoes.
Etouffee, appetizer. After this, I'm digging your thighs. Real debonair's eye. Look in your eyes, you got a smirk on your
Go sit down, baby. Go sit down.
and I'm impressed with your waist, with deep shape in your thigh. Compliment you on your beauty and your hair and your booty. Hey.
Here you go, baby.
Wine, dine, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of dude that like to get dine anytime. Comfort zone when you
Cut.
No.
Wanna be a boss? You're watching Boss Up Houston Network. It's Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Hello, everybody. We're back here again with Ken Mills Worldviews. Also, I have a very distinguished gentleman sitting next to me. This gentleman here, y'all see how me and my wife get along? He's one of the proponents for it. One of our family here, Pastor L. David Punch, with Greater Zion Missionary Baptist Church in the great Third Ward area. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Brother Ken. Thank you for having me tonight.
All right. Yeah, I kind of brought up the marriage counseling thing because you was our marriage counselor, right?
Right.
And it wasn't during this turbulent time, but now it's crazy. Do you still provide those type of sessions?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not since the COVID pandemic. We have not done any counseling sessions. Haven't had any couples prepared to marry yet. So it's just been some challenging times, but I'm always ready. I'm in office every day.
Okay. Now, also like the other gentleman that's been on the panel here, you have a very distinct online presence. I know I've caught you on Sunday mornings where you have an abbreviated service, and I mean it's almost similar to what we had previously. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to, even though our manner of worship has changed, I wanted to still have those subtle nuances that make worship experiential. So we still have our musicians that are part of our worship, and we have some great song leaders. Your father-in-law is one of them, yeah. And our great musician staff and directors. And so we try to incorporate on a smaller scale our worship singing, and then of course we go directly into a welcome type setting, making the environment conducive for worship, and then we go straight to the word. So we try to stay 30 minutes, 40 minutes to about an hour, but we try to incorporate those various nuances in the worship service. So.
Most definitely. And also some things that were withstanding before this turbulent time. You guys do have a pantry, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's open on Tuesdays that helps out the community.
One of the things that was exciting and is exciting about our church is, we really hold true to the appellation Greater Zion Missionary Baptist Church, and in that missionary's mission, our mission is to serve, and ministry meets needs. And so we have incorporated a number of the principles that Jesus talks about in Matthew chapter 25 about feeding the hungry and clothing the naked. So every Tuesday we have a community-wide, and many times it's become a city-wide food pantry where we are able to provide the basic necessities for people in the community and throughout the city. So that's been a way in which we're able to serve. I think in times like this, especially the church has become or needs to become service-oriented and ministry-minded, because there's so many needs, and people still look to the church and people of faith to provide those needs. And so we like to stand in the gap and do it, along with a number of other churches throughout the city and the state. So.
Right. And your church and you yourself particularly are part of a specific organization citywide, correct?
Correct. You mean our Community Development Corporation, or are you just talking about?
Yes.
Well, yeah, we were fortunate in '95 to have a visionary pastor before I arrived there, Pastor Dew, who thought of the importance of the church helping to revitalize and rebuild the community. So when I came on in 2002, I continued in that vein, and we Reward Third Ward is our Community Development Corporation. And we've been responsible for providing single-family housing, rental assistance, home buyer, counseling. We've built a couple of strong anchors in the Northern Third Ward through some multifamily tax credit units. So we have a senior housing facility that was visioned and birthed out of our church, and then another apartment complex. So we've built some anchors, and then around that we've worked to secure land to build affordable housing, so to kind of keep the integrity of the neighborhood. So we're doing a number of things in the community. We're not a mega church, but we have mega ministry, and we're trying to meet the needs as best we can.
So has there been any obstacles in continuing on those missions and providing those needs to the community?
No, we have some great partners, and we have a great support staff in terms of our members. Our food pantry is staffed by our volunteer members, senior members, and they commit to work in our pantry weekly and serving our community. And they have also pulled in many of our younger people, college students and young people, to kind of help. We're affiliated with a couple major youth organizations and parent organizations throughout the city, and Top Ladies of Distinction and Houston Top Teens. And so we're able to to pull in the volunteer help to help us work the community. We've been great partners over 30 years with the Houston Food Bank. We are a major agency in Third Ward with the Houston Food Bank. So we order regularly, and we keep the freezers full until the people come, and when they're empty, we'll fill them up again. So and we've had some great partners throughout the community and the state.
Right. So being that Third Ward is the community that George Floyd came from, and now he's been the beacon or the shining light for civil unrest and also social injustice. Are there any missions or any different initiatives that are taking place to, number one, educate the younger folks in the community and also to keep the peace?
What we've done, and what I've done in terms of not only pastoring Greater Zion, but in working to pastor the community.
Yes.
And being engaged and involved and being a rear guard and a vanguard for the community, is that we undergird all of the activities and social movements that go on in Third Ward, whether it's through the Third Ward Community Claw, whether it's through our various work with our council members, or Sheila Jackson Lee, who is our congressional person. So we're always engaged, and a lot of times I've tried to live by the principle is that I don't have to be in the forefront.
Right.
And I don't have to be that lightning bug Christian that's not happy unless the light is shining on my tail. So we try to get back and undergird and support, and we're always a resource. And whatever we can do in terms of whether it's dealing with the challenges of community that's suffering from police brutality, whether it's the challenges of suffering through this economic distress, we've always been that oasis in the heart of Northern Third Ward, where the homeless, the helpless, the hurting could come, and so we're there to do that. There's not one thing singular that we do in terms of dealing with the unrest, but all of the things that deal with that, we have our hand in and we're helping.
Okay. So with that being said, I also just looking at the demographic of the area, akin to what Pastor Curry spoke of, most of your parishioners are of a certain age, correct?
Correct.
Right. And at this point, I know that you're doing abbreviated service, which also helps them out from a social distancing perspective.
Sure.
But are there any additional advances to try to key in on a younger demographic as well?
Well, being, and I think Pastor Joseph mentioned that he's 138 years old. We're 139, and so we're in that century club.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges of pastoring an inner city church and a historic church is that we always have to not only lean on our history, but also be reaching forward into our future. And so we have worked tirelessly to have some intergenerational activities and ministries. We have people who are part of our social media and part of our video and audio team that fall in that age group. So the hope is that we're going to still share the message and still be accessible and relevant, but we have to find ways continuously to engage those other populations. We do have a larger portion of our congregation that are senior members. I've been able to see our church go through the various stages of church growth and development, and seen teenagers become adults and then go off to careers and get married, and of course, find other places to worship with people in that age group. And so we have been really trying to make sure that our ministry is still relevant, even as people, want to, worship with people in their age group. We're working, because I'm 53, but I'm hoping that I'm still not that old preacher yet, and so I'm still trying to work to engage the millennials and these other groups to try to find ways to get them actively involved, because if ministry is going to continue in that place, we're going to need those age groups that fall under the 50 group to help us with that. And so we've been working on that. And couples, do all this great counseling, to these couples, and they're holding together. She'll look for them to come and help an old man out sometime.
We'll help you out, but I'm helping right here.
Thank you for that.
So guys, when we come back, we'll have the full panel, and we're going to talk a little bit more. We also have a surprise for you. So stay tuned, guys. Ken Mills here with World Views on Boss Up Houston Network.
Stay up. Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up.
Hello, family. We had a whole panel here. So while we have all of the illustrious guests here, I want to pose one question. I'm going to start with you, Joseph. Reverend Mays, excuse me. So what would you tell someone who has wavering faith at this time who may not be looking to go toward religion? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to, I can't help but give a religious perspective because of what my stance is. I'm doing a study on Job right now in the series. And when you really look at the first chapter, after everything Job went through, Job said, naked I came into the world, naked I'm going to leave. So pretty much Job knew that everything that he went through, the Bible literally says that all Job did was worship God. When you're in the times like this, I understand your faith is a little wavered. I understand that it's hard, it's difficult, but just worship God, man. Most people don't know how to worship. And let me tell you how you worship. You just show God what he's worth to you. Just give your all to God, and I'm trying to tell you, God will do it, and just stand the test of time and encourage yourself. In moments like this, man, it's not time for us to fight each other or bicker. We got enough going on with the social injustice now. It's time for us to come together as brothers and sisters in the faith. And even if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, still love, the people that's around you in times like this, because we need each other, especially in the black culture community.
Okay. Thank you, Reverend Mays. I'll pivot to you, Reverend Punch.
Brother Ken, one of the things that I've discovered is people have kind of put things under this umbrella of religion and looking to find some religious purpose. Religion is really just And being religious is something that you do on a continuous basis, a habit. In times like these, I think it's important that we pivot from so much talking about religion to helping people understand what faith is. And I always share that faith is not the exclusive property of religion or a faith practice, in some type of worship experience. But we practice faith in every aspect of our life. We sat in these chairs. We didn't look to see if the screws were together, if this was going to hold us, and we just put all our weight on it. We're going to leave here and get in the car and put our key in the ignition, and we're going to have faith that it's going to start. So faith is in and of itself. The Bible in Hebrews 11 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Well, I always replace that word faith with risk. Now, risk is the substance of things hoped for. And we take risk in every area of our life. So when people talk about, well, I don't know if I want to be a part of a church, or I'm uncertain about this, this secular religion or these churches and things like that, always lead them to faith. And you're going to have your faith in something that's greater than you. Whether it's this chair to hold you, whether it's that car to start. And that's always the place I start with people. And then you progressively bring them to the point to understand that, you've got to have a relationship with a power greater than you.
There you go.
And what I choose to believe and trust in is that God. And then I walk them through the steps of faith. People get disenchanted with the church and with organized religion because they focus so much on the people.
Yeah.
And when we put our focus on people, we're always going to be let down. People say, well, I'm not coming to church because there's so many hypocrites there. We're always telling them, we got room for one more. Come on. Because the church is still a hospital. It's a gathering spot. We haven't been able to gather, but it's still a hospital where sick folk come. And in the hospital, there's a whole lot of different floors. There's, there's the psych ward, there's the emergency room, there's the ICU, there's the heart floor. And all of us are in that same place. And we're at different stages in our life. And so the hope is that whoever the leader is, whoever that spiritual leader is he can be able to minister a word of faith that reaches those people where they are. And that's going to bring them to a corporate worship. And understand that relationship in God.
Thank you, Reverend Punch. Reverend Curry.
Well, listening to my co-panelists and listening to you pivot from that word religious, and as Pastor Punch spoke, we can be religious about a lot of things. The thing that I like to work on is our relationship to get us into a closer relationship with Christ. Some people have a hang-up with quote unquote what's in the church building. And I tell them that you got to get unfocused off of the building and get focused on the reason why you're in the building. And when we find relationship working on because that's something I do daily, that I want to tune and tweak my relationship with Christ. Reverend Joseph brought up Job. Job was the man after that God knew him and knew his relationship, that he told the devil about him.
Right.
And I'm telling you, you got to be very special to God for God to tell the devil. He told the devil to go after Job. And to get in relationship, and Job lost all he had in a few chapters, but for him to get back to where he was, it wasn't until chapter 42. And I'd say that's a whole lot of chapters. The first 3 chapters, Job lose everything. And he held out and held on to. Even Job said, I wish the day that it was announced that a male child was conceived, that it would be a thing of naught, that it never existed. He went through that. A lot of people are going through that right now, that they're going through depression and they're going through situations because they're so locked into their house. They're about to lose their mind. They're about to lose their psyche. But if you work on that relationship with Christ, see, you can have a relationship when you don't have a team of praise dancers. And when you don't have a praise team to get. But if you get in relationship with Christ, you don't need all of those extra entities that we've had in our churches. And God is getting us to a place where we got to worship here in truth and in spirit.
That's right.
And it's not, you're not somebody standing on on the platform trying to encourage you to worship God. You got to get to the point where when you in your own house by yourself, when things going on, we on Facebook, we on this site, we in YouTube, we all over the TV trying to find something to hold us together, because we just don't. You need to grab to your faith, that if it wasn't for your grandmama, a lot of times we want to talk about the new time, but you better go back to what have brought us in the past to help us get through what we're going through now. Don't throw away where we've been, because you don't know where you're going. You only know where you've been, but you don't know where you're going. But in knowing who guides you, get you to where you need to go.
Now, we're amazed. How can they get in contact with you, and also how can they reach out to your ministry?
You get in contact with me by Facebook. Look for Mount Pisgah, mt.pisgah Baptist Church, or we have another page, Mount Pisgah, MOUNT, Pisgah Baptist Church page. We can also download that app at 54244 #MPBC. You can also get all of our information on there. We do have live worship on conference call, Facebook Live, both pages on Facebook Live, and we also meet on Zoom. So those are the way. Phone number, I can give you my number. I ain't familiar with the church number just quite yet, because I barely dialed the number myself. But if you get that app, that number is on that page. Yeah, 54244 #MPBC.
All right, thank you.
Brother Ken, we're on Facebook, Greater Zion Missionary Baptist Church in Houston, on Truly. We also have a presence on the web, www.greaterzionhouston.org. And we have our live Facebook services on 9:30 on Sunday mornings, and then on Tuesday nights at 7 we have Bible study.
You can get in contact with me on Facebook through the Greater Union Missionary Baptist Church here in Houston, Texas, 1101 Waco, Houston, Texas, 77020. Our phone number, you can reach me at 832-971-4409. You can mail in financial blessings, help the ministry, or you can follow the apps on Facebook that will tell you how to Cash App or PayPal. But I just thank God for the chance to be on the screen with these three brothers that have lifted me and given me some information that I can further along Greater Union. Because we're not in this to fight against each other, but we're in here to win the world for Jesus Christ.
All right. Now, I'd like to thank each of you for coming on to the show. It was a huge honor and also a pleasure to speak with each and every one of you. Like I've said in the beginning on my introductions, I rarely do personable introductions, but for this case I had to, because in each facet of my life, these gentlemen have been there. From Reverend Mays here, we grew up together in this church, Greater Union, together.
Yes, sir.
And we grew in Christ together. Then here to Reverend Curry. Reverend Curry brought me along as a young adult and stayed with me through all types of times where I used to get in all types of conflicts, and I used to end up in the hospital, and he'd show up every time and give me a prayer. See, I told y'all, God watch out for babies and fools. I'm just not getting out the fool stage. Then we had Reverend Punch. Reverend Punch, that's my brother here. Because, see, like he said, my in-laws, they're parishioners at that church, but when I went into that church, I felt right at home. And he welcomed me with open arms, and every time there's a family gathering, we're right there. So I'm going to touch on what they covered, and then I'll give my parting shot. So Joseph brought up that, Reverend Mays, excuse me. He brought up, throughout his Christian walk, that he was working toward pastoral leadership. He's achieved this, but at an inopportune time. He's taken this time in order to better that situation and take full grasp of what God has given him. Then we came to Reverend Curry. Reverend Curry talked about embracing new technology with the help of his child, with the help of Winston. Also, working out ways where he can stay connected to his parishioners, and also being a force in the Fifth Ward community. Then we have Reverend Punch. Reverend Punch brought up the many different initiatives that Greater Zion has that can help out the community, whether through social injustice, whether through nourishment with the pantry, and also through lodging and other initiatives. I say all of that to say this. Most times as a worshiper, we look at the man that's the messenger, but not the message. And that's why we're at fault at. It says in Psalms 1, don't sit in the seat of the scornful. So if this man was installed, this man has been called to give you a message from God, why not accept it? We're not perfect people. I know for one, I'm not. Many of you follow me, you know that I do comedy, and mine is sometimes on a profane level, but that don't mean I don't love God. What we have to also understand is, like he said, faith is of substance that is not seen. We're dealing with a villain right now that has not been seen. I don't know COVID. You seen COVID? Do COVID look like him? You him? No, he don't, because you can't see him. But I know we have a Savior that I can't see either, but I feel him.
Yeah. True.
See, that's what you got to start understanding is that, look, there is a higher power that is at stake here. The universe do not move by what we think, okay? If I want to wake up in the morning, God the one that put me on the wake-up list, not me. Because there's been many a day that I thought that I was going to do something the next day and I never got a chance to do it because that's not how the world works. What we have to understand is faith. Understanding that there's something out there that is greater than us that can protect us and carry us on. We need to build up that trust. And what we have to understand is going to church every Sunday is not going to build that faith. However, when you use the message that comes out of that church and you apply it to your life, that's when the real action happens. It says in the book of James, faith without works is what? Dead. So if you have faith, you must put it in action. I'll give you an example. Everybody knows my weight loss journey. Everybody knows that at the beginning of the year, I thought I had cancer. So we come to this point. What can I do to change this? I can pray to God every day. And, you know, God will do what he can for me. He'll cover my life, make sure that I'm alive. But guess what? He can put things in place for me that I can go get the action. What I did, I went and got the surgery. I'm not ashamed to tell you. That was an action. And as I laid there on that bed for 3 days, no TV on, no food, just water, morphine, guess what I did? I tapped into my relationship with the Most High. You know what he told me? He said, tell others what I have done for you. And that's the Great Commission at the end of Matthew. So what we have to understand is we have a high stake in what we're doing here. We're not just here just to live our lives vicariously and run around and just be willy-nilly. We have a true objective out here is to spread the word of God and also to live by his commandments. And what that means is we must love one another. So that takes care of the social injustice. So we can talk all day long about the differences between us as black men, black women, white women, Chinese, or what have you. That's fine. But at the end of the day, we all people and we all are controlled by this higher power that has its grasp over the universe. Once we understand that, and once we understand that we are the church and not a building, that's when we'll succeed. So I'll leave you with this. Open your minds, open your hearts, and stay safe. Ken Mills here with Boss Up Houston Network. Next week, we'll have our community episode. We'll see you then.